Hey, this is PH and welcome to Good Bible Knowledge with PhD. In this set of videos, I want to provide a helpful and enjoyable way to understand common questions about the Bible. I hope you'll find these videos helpful for your own spiritual journey in Jesus. Let's get started. What's so important about Cain and Abel? Genesis is a book about firsts. Cain and Abel were the first children born to Adam and Eve. Cain was the first farmer, and Abel was the first shepherd. Another first in the book of Genesis was the first act of worship. Worship is the appropriate response of man to the greatness and goodness of God. As the first farmer and first shepherd, the prosperity of Cain and Abel's work was ultimately due to God's blessing upon their lives. When it came time for Cain and Abel to worship God, they each brought gifts of offering to God. Offerings are not just about the value of the gift itself, rather, it's about the heart of the giver. When Abel gave his offering, it was a clear expression of a grateful heart and a recognition of God's goodness. When Cain gave his offering, it was a clear expression of a resentful heart and a sense of ingratitude and selfishness. God's response to Abel was that of delight and honor. God's response to Cain was to be careful of the consequences of a resentful heart and ingratitude. Cain, however, grew bitter, and another first in the book of Genesis, tragically, is the first murder. Cain murdered his own brother and tried to hide the deed from God. When God asked Cain what he had done, instead of sorrowfully confessing his sin, Cain tried to lie to God. And as a consequence of Cain's actions, Cain was sent away from his family. But God still promised the mercy of his protection wherever he went. The story of Cain and Abel reminds us that the sin that began in the Garden of Eden not only passed on from generation to generation, but would continue to get worse without the grace and intervention of God. The good news is that God did intervene through Jesus. In order to counteract the effect of sin and its consequences, God gave his Son Jesus to die on the cross for our sin and rise from the dead. If indeed the quality of one's offering reflects the depth of one's love, what does this say about God's heart? Thanks for listening to another episode of Good Bible Knowledge. We'll see you next time.